Okay, this is a demo of Fabric, IBM Fabric Hyperledger project, interfaced using a simple GUI that demonstrates a secure chat application. But the kind of key point of the demo is to show how this is configured on the back end. So let's look at the back end. So this front end app is talking to the back end API, which is hosted at CRC in Notre Dame. This API is run using the Hyperledger Composer REST server. Now, the way this works is that you define assets. So this is an asset here, and we define an asset named message payload. So any asset can basically be a message, in this case, that can be put on the blockchain. A transaction is when this message is sent onto the blockchain. So this transaction references a message, an asset, if you like. So a message transaction shows the transaction on the blockchain, and then the message in participant shows the actual person who sent the message onto the blockchain. So this API, so these models were created by us to model a basic kind of secure app scenario. And then we implemented this front-end application to talk to this to implement what a front end would look like in order to talk to this API. The same API can be used by the mobile application in order to post messages on the same blockchain using the same participants and payloads and transactions. So if we go over to the application, if I reload the application, so we're reloading the application, and that's going to make calls to the back end to figure out who is available and so forth. Then what we'll get is that queries the back end. So if I look at the console here, and pull that in, the console, so the application is making some calls. So it's making a call to message participant, and the message participant is API endpoint, the REST API endpoint, is returning these two items. And these two items is myself and my colleague Adam Brinkman. So these are the two participants on the blockchain. And then the payloads are returning all the messages that are currently on the blockchain. So this API is basically an interface, a customized business logic facing interface to the blockchain. So we can use this to model anything we want. We can use it to model containers passing through the blockchain. We could use it to model departmental transactions, so the MEPAs, and so forth. And we'll show you those a bit later. So for now, what we did here is this user interface dynamically makes a call to get the participants and then renders the participant and the messages that they have sent onto the blockchain by filtering on the names of the participants. So here it shows Adam's messages that he's posted. Here it shows my messages, so I can compose another message and saying here is a message for the demonstration of blockchain secure messaging, and send that, and then compose another message. So another message on the blockchain, and send. And then we look at what actually went on the back end. Well, this is a message transaction pending. So if we take a look at that, this is what happens. The headers, this was a post to this message transaction, which resulted in this being received by the blockchain and being added. So this is the new payload, this is the payload, and this is the transaction ID here. So that was recorded on the blockchain. So what you're seeing here, this other message on the blockchain, isn't just a message being sent from here to here. This is going on Fabric and being recorded on the blockchain. So if we look at the info there, then it will show you the asset and the transaction that involved on that asset that was made on the blockchain for that asset. And you can look at any of these, the transaction IDs and so forth. You can look at all the different ones here for all the messages that were sent for this application.